sick.
There is no terrible way to win. There is only winning.
We won't be out long.
Take your time. Track's all yours.
You ready? The name on the middle of that steering wheel should tell you that I was born ready. Hit it. Attaboy.
Let me drive. I won't make a fool out of you.
I got a message for all of them. Shake and bake.
What does that do? Does that blow your mind?
That just happened.
These cars, you sit in a box, a coffin, gasoline all around you. It is like being inside a bomb.
It's tough enough being a girl on the track. Living in my dad's shadow doesn't help much.
You have to be kind to the car. You feel the poor thing groaning underneath you.
No race was ever won in the first corner.
I'm gonna give you an engine low to the ground, extra big oil pan that'll cut the wind from underneath you. That'll give you 30 to 40 more horsepower.
Every one of us has to find a reason to do this. You do it because you're driven.
Brakes are warm. Tires are warm.
I'll work in the cars and I'll drive and I'll eat and sleep and I'll work in the cars and I'll drive.
Damn fast, and when you run so close together, it requires fantastic concentration and rather special skills.
I was beginning to think I'd never be anything more than a piston-happy lead-foot punk. Then this starts to happen.
If you're going to push a piece of machinery to the limit and expect it to hold together, you have to have some sense of where that limit is.
Besides, the best drivers don't dwell on the future or the past. The best drivers focus only on the present.
They could never have imagined it, those pioneers who invented the automobile, that it would possess us like this in our imaginations, our dreams.
I'm gonna give you a fuel line that will hold an extra gallon of gas. I'm gonna shave half an inch off you and shape you like a bullet.
Somebody put it in your mind you gotta be perfect every time out or you're a failure. Well, forget that. Just forget it.
Racing is in my blood.
I was put on this earth to race cars.
I accept every time I get in my car. There's 20% chance I could die, and I can live with it, but not 1% more.
No, Nicky, don't bring the percentages into this. Don't be a pro. The minute you do that, you kill what's good about this. You kill the sport.
And at that speed, your reactions can barely keep up with these sudden changes in direction.
You ready to put away your toys and grow up?
You want me to work the pit and you drive? Fine, we'll try that.
The car's a living, breathing thing, and she's alive.
If any of us imagined, really imagined, what it would be like to go into a tree at 150 miles an hour, we would probably never get into the cars at all. None of us.
Are you ready to become a real race car driver?
I am just as good as anybody out there on that track, and I don't need anybody to win my races for me.
I wish my daddy were alive to see this, to feel this.
And when we get you primed, painted, and weighed, you'll be ready to go out on that racetrack. You hear me? You're gonna be perfect.
You don't understand what happens, do you? They make 10,000 cars, they make them exactly the same way, and one or two of them turn out to be something special. Nobody knows why.
When I won it was probably the last time I ever felt pure victory.
So it has always seemed to me that to do something very dangerous requires a certain absence of imagination.
Because I'm quicker than all of you.
Soon you will know what it is like to be defeated by the hands of somebody who is truly better than you.
The only thing to do here is to drive just as fast as you know how and hope your car doesn't break.
And if you no longer go for a gap that exists, you're no longer a racing driver.
If you ain't first, you're last. There's 40 other vultures out there who managed to finish the race on their tires. You see Darrell Waltrip using up his tires?
There's nothing I can't do with a race car.
I mean, hell, isn't that what we're in this for? To stare death in the face and to cheat it? Come on, there's nobility in that. It's like being knights.
Sometimes you could swear the whole thing's falling to bits.
No pressure, nobody breathing down my back, just driving because I left it pure.
On the other hand, I suppose potential problems are in the back of your mind all the time.
So in many ways, I feel responsible for what happened. And
You were, but trust me, watching you win those races while I was fighting for my life, you were equally responsible for getting me back in the car.
You're so lucky. You sit there all closed in by machinery and bolts, precise things. There's hardly any room for you. It must be a nice, safe feeling.
You gotta learn to trust something. Might just as well be the seat of your pants.
A lot of people go through life doing things badly. Racing's important to men who do it well. When you're racing, it's life. Anything that happens before or after, it's just waiting.
Well, we can drive. We can drive beyond the limits of the tires, the engine, the car, anything else.
Look out there is the perfect lap. No mistakes, every gear change, every corner, perfect. You see it.
I just hope when you do, that I'm there to see it.
Ask any racer, any real racer. It don't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning's winning.
But it isn't just business, is it? What we do. It's passion, love, which is why we are prepared to risk our lives for it.
Racing. That's the name of the game, isn't it? Win or lose, put up or shut up.
Why does everybody keep telling me what my problem is?
That you get so emotional.
You would never, ever say that to a guy.
If you don't leave your feelings off the track, you're never going to get what you want.
I'm a race driver, and I can win it on my Please let me race.
Fine. Then let's race.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and once again, welcome back to the Grand Prix World Series. We are now at the penultimate round in San Carlos, and this is set to be an exciting one. My name is Topher Smith, and I'm happy to be bringing you through today's action once again. Starting off with League 2, where today titles could be decided as we take a look at how the points stand heading into this one. After Curitiba last time out, Pascal Wehrlein leads the way on 179 points, 12 ahead of his teammate Marcus Ericsson on 167, and Tatiana Calderon, the only other driver who can win the World Drivers' Championship in League 2, other than the two Fomital. She's there on 154 points. Mick Schumacher dropped out of contention after the last race, but he can do all that he can to help out his teammate to win the title this season. Brendan Hartley in 5th place on 111 points, ahead of Jack Aitken, Gary Paffett, Alexander Rossi, Kimi Sato, and Lucas Di Grassi. That's your top 10. Those bottom 7 drivers not able to win a title anymore. It is well and truly between the top 3 now, and this is going to be fierce to see who's going to come out on top after today and after the final round in Laguna Seca. As far as the teams are concerned, Fomital and Mascar Lola have already secured promotion, but it is between them to see who will be the League 2 teams champion at the end of Laguna Seca. Could Fomital snatch it today, or will Mascar Lola bring it to a finale next time out? This is going to be really exciting to watch. Before we take a look at the grid, there are 2 driver changes to make a note of for today. The first one of those is at Force India. Jack Aitken is going to be on the sidelines today, having picked up a race ban last time out in Curitiba. He will be replaced by the returning Jerome D'Ambrosio, his first time in the car for quite a long time now, and he'll be alongside Raffaele Marcello in the Force India today. And the other one is at Zach Speed. Sam Birds, he also picked up a race ban last time out in Brazil, and Oliver Rowland will return into a race seat in his place. But having picked up a back of the grid job a couple of rounds ago, which he is still yet to serve, he will serve that today. So Rowland going from 26th and last on the grid, but the only way will be forward for the British driver. Well, we can't wait to get this underway, but before it's lights out, we have to take a look at the grid. And it is Marcus Ericsson who has taken the impetus here at San Carlos and put his Fomital on pole position ahead of Tatiana Calderon and Pascal Wehrlein, the top 3 in the championship, top 3 on the grid. Mick Schumacher going to be playing support to his teammate today in 4th. Kimi Sato, a good job by him to be 5th in the Dome, ahead of Brendan Hartley in the Pacific. Jerome D'Ambrosio on his return, 7th to be the lead Force India today. A fantastic job by the Belgian there. Takuma Sato puts both Domes into the top 8, ahead of Alan McNish and Raffaele Marcello to round out the top 10. Mirko Bortolotti and the Dams Vaillant to be 11th, ahead of Gary Paffett and the Ram. He'll be a little bit disappointed not to be in the top 10 today. Alexander Rossi and Callum Ilott link up in the Larousses in 13th and 14th. Jaime Alguersuari 15th in the Scuderia Colonia, ahead of Lucas Di Grassi, Sergio Sette Camara, Christian Lundgaard, Dan Ticktum and Luciano Becchetta. That's your top 20. And at the back of the grid, Nelson Piquet Jr., Fabio Lima, Mike Conway, Jake Dennis, Andre Lotterer, and the aforementioned Oliver Rowland, who'll be starting from last by virtue of his grid penalty. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're looking forward to getting this underway. Could either or both of the championships in League 2 be decided today? There is only one way to find out, and ready and waiting in the commentary box to take you through all the action, it is over to Tom Cairns.
Pascal Wehrlein has the chance to become the League 2 Grand Prix World Series champion this season, but first he has to overcome his teammate Marcus Ericsson and Tatiana Calderon if he is to have any chance of making that a reality. The 5 red lights are coming on. When they go out, we'll be going racing for the first time in San Carlos. It's lights out, and away we go. Marcus Ericsson getting off to a good start, but Calderon's got away better, and they're going to go side by side into the fast, sweeping right-hander of turn 1, and Calderon takes the lead in the Master Lola ahead of Ericsson. Now, what about Verline? Is he going to make a move into the slower second corner? Well, he's not, and Ericsson looks to be going back side by side with Calderon on the exit, and is he going to take the lead again, going into the left-hander that's coming up? The answer to that question is yes. Ericsson takes back the lead of the race. He'll have the inside line for turn 4. And Ericsson is back through, but Calderon is still not giving it up by any means. This is brilliant racing on the first lap between the Fomatel and the Mascalola, but finally Calderon has to give way, and Ericsson remains in the lead on the first lap. Calderon second, Verline third. It's Mick Schumacher, Kamir Sato, Brendan Hartley is in 6th place for Pacific. Jerome D'Ambrosio, who's substituting for Jet Aiken in the Force India, is 7th. Alan Minish 8th. Takuma Sato in 9th. And in 10th position is the 2nd Force India of Rafael Marciello. 4.1 kilometres is this circuit layout. It's a very quick lap, is San Carlos, Venezuela, so we could be in for quite a quick race. And Ericsson has the fast lap at the moment, but that will come down in due course. And we've just seen Mick Schumacher thinking about a move on Pascal Verline for 3rd place. Now going into this round, Ericsson coming into this round 2nd in the championship on the back of his win in Curitiba at the expense of Calderon, who had stopped on the last lap with a puncture. The gap was 12 points coming into this round. As it stands, Ericsson will be closing down the gap. And as it stands, with Ericsson having the pole position and fast lap points, as well as the race lead, and Verline in 3rd place, they will be level on points, and Ericsson will be ahead on countback. And Calderon will still be in the title race, albeit it'll be a miracle for her to claw it back. So Calderon has got to finish ahead of the Fomatels to keep herself in a realistic run-in for the title. Ericsson coming round to complete the 2nd lap in the lead. But watching Mick Schumacher looking for a move on Verline into the fast sweeping right-hander. No way through just yet. Mick is having to tuck back in. So it's Fomatel, Mastercard Layla, Fomatel, Mastercard Layla in the top 4. There is D'Ambrosio, who's been overtaken by Alan Minish into turn 2. And that's good enough for him to move up the order. And we see a collision involving a Carlin and the Zach Speed. And it looks like the Zach Speed is out. We're going to get a replay of it. We just saw Sete Camera make a move on Becchetta into turn 2. And then the two, in fact, there was a LaRousse in there tangling with the Zach Speed and the Carlin. Lucas Di Grassi was the one up the inside of Becchetta. But Di Grassi got tagged into, I think. No, actually, Di Grassi hit the back of Becchetta to begin with. And then the LaRousse behind, that would have been Callum Ilott that ran into him and Becchetta at the end of it. Looking at Ilott's onboard view, actually Di Grassi kick-started it all off, so the contact from Ilott came after Di Grassi made contact with Becchetta, and I think anyone's going to take blame for that, it will be Lucas Di Grassi. So Di Grassi is the first retirement of the race, and that pretty much spells the end of Zach Speed's chances of promotion for this season. So Di Grassi pulled off the circuit as a tricycle. Mike Smith will be looking ahead to Season 4 in terms of who's driver lineup, who is it going to be. And no further action is going to be taken involving Becchetta and Di Grassi. And now we're looking at Andre Lotto, who's running in 25th position. He'll be hoping for the season to end sooner rather than later. He started the season quite brightly, did Andre Lotto, with that podium finish he achieved in Sentul and a good finish also in Fuji. But nothing had gone right for him ever since. And we've seen him move from the sole surviving Zach Speed. That will be Oliver Rowland, who is back in a Zach Speed seat, this time in place of Sam Bird, who is serving a race ban for the contact he had with Dan Tixon in Curitiba last time out. Verline in 3rd, Schumacher in 4th, nose to tail. San Carlos hasn't hosted a lot of racing in the past. Most notably, it's the Venezuela MotoGP event. They had it in the late 70s. That's when it's most remembered. Ericsson crosses over the line with a knee fast slap. Verline and Schumacher still going at it. It seems to be that turn 2 is going to be the overtaking spot for the drivers, providing they are within range to attack. There is Ericsson in the race lead. 4 wins to his name this season. Tatiana Calderon has had 3, Pascal Verline has had 3, and Mick Schumacher has had 2. Kimi Sato and Brendan Hartley are the other race winners in League 2 this campaign. The last 10 races in League 2 have been won by either a Fommetel driver or a Mascot Layla driver. You can see why, given how far the top 4 are sprinting away ahead of the rest. There are race strategies to bear in mind. Fommetel came into this round with 346 points. If they were to achieve at least 2 points in this round, they've got one of those already. Should they get another point, they will break the record for the most number of points scored in a Grand Prix World Series season by one team. In Season 2, Leighton House achieved 347 points. Fommetel, with 2 races to go, are very likely to break that. And if they're lucky, they may even break into the 400 point barrier, which would be absolutely exceptional. With the positions as they are, Mascot Lola, or I should say Fommetel, they will be clinching the team's championship. Mascot Lola needed to outscore, well, they need to outscore Fommetel by quite a significant way to take the team's championship to the season finale at Laguna Seca. Mascot Lola need to outscore Fommetel by 23 points or more. At the moment as they are, they're not quite there. Fommetel are in fact outscoring them. Mascot Lola will be finishing second, whatever happens, if the positions were to remain as they are. In terms of where Pacific are, with Hartley in 6th and Sete Camera outside the top 15, the positions as they are won't seal promotion for them today, but they leave themselves with a tremendous opportunity to seal just that at Laguna Seca. So Force India and Ram, and perhaps Dome as well, need to put them under more pressure here and start moving up the order. There's Oliver Rowland up the inside of what looks like Luciano Bichetta. That would have been into, I think, the 4th to last, no, it's the 5th to last corner of the circuit. And he is through. Right on board with Alguersuari. Podium finisher in Valencia. Coloni will be under new management next season. And Schumacher looking for a way through on Verline. He's done it! Mick Schumacher through ahead of Verline into 3rd place. That was a brilliant move from Mick. That was bound to happen at some point. It's finally there. So Schumacher through into 3rd place. 2 Mascot Lolas in the top 3. That also helps Tatiana Calderon in the championship a little bit as well. But she needs to try and get ahead of Ericsson if she can. I don't know for certain what strategies each of the drivers are on. We'll find out in around about half a dozen laps time. Brendan Hartley tussling it out with Kamiya Sato for 5th place. Kamiya's teammate Takuma Sato is in 9th. And we watch Sergio Sette Camera go for it on the colony of what looks like Jaime Alguersuari for 15th place. Sergio Sette Camera has finished 6th on 4 occasions this season. His future remains uncertain at the moment. And since the last round in Curitiba, there's been a calendar change for one of the rounds. Now, we were meant to be going to Monterrey in Mexico, but after doing some tests on that track, it was concluded that Toronto in Canada was a better option to that as one of the North American rounds. So Toronto in Canada will be replacing Monterrey on the Season 4 calendar, pairing up with the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, which was also recently announced that it would be replacing what was going to be in Barber. Season 4 is expected to be a belter next season, with the driver criteria changing. And you can have any driver you want, as long as it's not a Formula 1 race winner or a current Formula 1 driver. Back to the actual racing. Ericsson leads, ahead of Calderon by 6.5 seconds. Mick in 3rd place, pulling away from Pascal Wehrlein. And there is the table as it stands. Ericsson 3 points clear of Wehrlein with the positions as they are, and Calderon is 22 points off. And it'll be a 3-way battle going into Laguna Seca if the positions remain as they are for now. As for Fonmetal, they will be clinching the team's championship, as they are doing more than enough with what they need to do here to clinch the team's championship with a race to spare in League 2. For Pacific, they are not doing enough at the moment to seal promotion. 28 points clear going into this round. Just seen a move from Nelson Piquet Jr. on Luciano Piquetta for 23rd place. We're going on about Pacific, with Brendan Hartley currently in 6th position, which would give them 8 championship points. Dome, who were 42 points off. They've got both drivers in the points. They'll close down the gap a little bit. Force India have got both of their drivers in the points as well. But I think they're only just outscoring Pacific at the moment by 1 point. We've just seen a replay from Mike Conway, and this is on Jake Dennis. That was actually a very good overtake there from Conway. He is through, or so he thought, because Dennis fought back and found himself back through again. And there is Mick, as Alan McNish comes into the pits at the end of lap 11. It's quite early for a pit stop, but Monish feels that the time is now to be doing that. Pacific will leave themselves with a very good opportunity to clinch the team's championship, not the team's championship, clinch promotion, the final promotion spot to League One. I think even if Ram, Dome and Force India were to outscore them by a bit, it will still leave Pacific as firm favourites to be in the box seat for that final promotion spot. As we see Jerome D'Ambrosio competing in his first Grand Prix World Series race since Istanbul. He was replaced by Rafael Marcello from Misano onwards, but he's back in the Force India in place of Jack Aiken, who was serving a race ban after taking out Callum Ilott in the last race in Curitiba. Calderon in P2. She can't do anything about Ericsson up ahead. Ericsson's now 8 seconds clear, but is Ericsson on a 2-stop strategy? I think with the gap as it is, it must be that Ericsson is doing a 2-stop. for Verline to clinch the championship, the Drivers' Championship today. He would need to outscore Ericsson by 16 points or more and outscore Calderon by 3 points or more. And Ericsson's coming up to bat Marcus already in this race. He's got through on Oliver Rowland. And going to the battle for 5th place between Camille Sarto and Brendan Hartley. Jerome D'Ambrosio coming into the pits in the Force India. Just the one retirement in this race so far. Lucas Di Grassi crashing out after tangling with Luciano Paqueta at turn 2. Paqueta was lucky to keep going. Otherwise, Di Grassi would have been out of the last race in Laguna Seca, most certainly. Lotterer getting through on Paqueta. So he's able to move up the order there. Behind Paqueta are 2 of those that have just pitted. Alan McNish and Jerome D'Ambrosio. And we just see Paqueta fighting back on Lotterer. This is actually good racing between the pair. And McNish and D'Ambrosio will be want to get through very, very quickly as well. As Paqueta makes his way through on the Andrea motor up the inside. He was able to get the move done? No, he wasn't. The Paqueta had to back out of it. And Lotterer was able to keep going for now, but here is McNish up the inside of Paqueta. No way through at the moment. And McNish's Ram teammate, Gary Paffett, has come into the pits. And Christian Lundgaard likewise. And Brendan Hartley is also in the pits. Jake Dennis as well. It's a very busy pit lane at the moment. The drivers feel that 2 stops is the way to go. Ericsson is coming into the pits at the end of lap 15. What about Calderon? Is she staying out there? She is, and it's no surprise. If she has any chance of winning this race, she's got to try and do something different to what Ericsson's doing. To keep her slim hopes of the Drivers' Championship alive. Sato. Ericsson's come out in 5th place, ahead of Takuma Sato. Now for a pit stop, considering how far Ericsson was in front of Calderon, you probably need at least, looking at the gap there, you need at the very minimum 25 seconds for a pit stop. So it's shorter than what it was in Curitiba. So what will Calderon and Schumacher do? What will Verline choose to do? I suppose the good news for Calderon is that Mick Schumacher is behind her. Just see a back marker coming out of the pits. And Mick has to lift off the throttle ever so slightly, but he should be okay getting through on Lotterer. So he is through, no problem, and he should pull away. There's Verline in P3. Marcello's come into the pits in the other Force India. Fabio Lima as well. There's Jerome D'Ambrosio behind Alan McNish as Marcello comes out of the pits there. Go to the battle for 21st place as Jake Dennis and Mike Conway go toe-to-toe. Conway's not able to get through. And Mick Schumacher comes into the pits, so he decides that he needs to come in for fuel and tyres. as is Verline. Calderon remains in the lead for now. D'Ambrosio up the inside of Element Nish. That's a fine overtake there from the Belgian. Takuma in third place, remaining out there. I think if you're remaining out there now and you haven't done your first stop yet, I would think that they're going to be on the one stop. Just seen Kamiya Sato come out of the pits in front of Dan Tipton, and Tipton's going to get up the inside of Kamiya Sato, and he's able to get through. Tipton through into 8th position. He's looking to end his season on a high. Kamiya Sato back up the inside of Tipton as Calderon comes in for her first stop. At the end of lap 19, or 18 rather. So it's the end of lap 18, so she was able to stay out 3 laps longer than Ericsson. And I think this is probably to respond to what Verline and Schumacher were doing. So there's absolutely nothing she can do about Ericsson up front. Ericsson's just unstoppable right now. Takuma Sato and Jaime Alguersuari coming into the pits in the Dome and Coloni. And Hartley has got in front of Sato, but I think he was in front of Takuma before the pit stops had begun. Ericsson in the lead. In second place is the LaRousse of Alexander Rossi. And it's Tatiana Calderon in third place, after she's just made her first pit stop. She should be close to making a move as Ericsson posts a new fastest lap. It's likely he'll keep hold of that now. So it's down to where he ends up finishing at the end of this. Alexander Rossi decides that it's time for him to go to the pits. And that releases Calderon, who will go up into second place on the circuit. So it's as you were before the pit stops had begun. So not much change in the top 10 before the pit stops had begun. We just saw Alexander Rossi coming out of the pits there and nearly taking out Paqueta as he rejoined. Pico Jr. tossing it again with Jake Dennis. We see Dennis go for a move on Tipton, who's just come out of the pits. And the latest on the race for the title, Ericsson will be 3 points clear of Verline and 22 clear of Calderon. The title race will go down to the last race. As far as the team's championship is concerned, Von Mattel will be the team's champions in League 2. The gap is now 74 points with the positions as they are. Moscow needs to outscore them by at least 23 points keep the team's championship race going into Laguna Seca. It's not quite going the way they need it right now. They've got to hope something happens to Ericsson up front. He's now nearly 15 seconds in front. Now, Ericsson has had his fair share of misfortune this season. Has had reliability woes, he's had incidents involving himself, the mishap he had in Dijon Bourgogne, riding over the curbs too heavily in Misano, and those mechanical gremlins of which he has had in Sepang and Panonia, where he retired at the early stages. There's Marcello up the inside of Alan McNish. There's no way through there, and that's going to allow Takuma Sato to get one up the inside, and very nearly contact made between the Dome and the Force India, but they keep their cars intact on this occasion. Nelson Piquet Jr. still going at it with Jake Dennis. And behind him will be Andre Lotterer, who's going for a move now. And behind those two will be the race leader who's coming up to lap then. That's Marcus Ericsson. And Calderon is 1.2 seconds clear of her teammate Mick Schumacher. Now it's Calderon who needs to finish in front of Mick. Only one driver out so far, Lucas Di Grassi. On the second lap, tangling with Luciano Piquetta. And the car became terminally damaged after that. And his race went no further. And we see Ericsson trying to get through on Nelson Piquet Jr. to lap. But the Brazilian is not making it easy for him there, and he's through at last there is Ericsson. I've just seen Lotterer lining up a pass on his Andrea Moda teammate Jake Dennis, but he needs to watch out for Ericsson who's coming through. Now, does Lotterer stay out of the way here? The answer should be yes, and he has stayed out of the way. Now Jake Dennis is going to be the next driver to get the blue flags. And so Ericsson's through, no problem. Lotterer's trying to get a move up the inside of Dennis, but Dennis is able to fend him off for now. Right on board with Tatiana Calderon. Second place at the moment. So we watch a 3-car battle for 8th between McNish, Marcello and Takuma Sato. Behind those is Alexander Rossi, who was one of those to pit later than most of the others. The Roos are looking to end their season on a high in what's been a rather disappointing second half of the campaign for them. Given how well improved the likes of Force India, Ram, Mars Cordella and Fomental have been, it's just become increasingly difficult for Chris Hosey's squad to be scoring points. And here is Ericsson, who will be coming up behind the 2 Reals of Mike Conway and Dan Sixon. We've got a battle for 15th place raging between Luciano Piquetta and Sergio Sette Camera, and Sette Camera is up the inside into turn 1. That's the first time we're seeing anyone pull off a move there, and Sette Camera is the first to do that. Got 200 motors tussling, as well as the Dams Viant of Nelson Piquet Jr. Oliver Rowan is the only driver behind these lot. He's having a rather lonely race. Now on lap 26, we're approaching half race distance. So far, so good for Fomental, who have won 7 races this season. And we see the 2 Reals fighting it out between Conway and Tixon. This is for 20th place. And Piquetta, who's under threat from Callum Ilott behind, trying to get back through on Sette Camera, but doesn't work there. And Ilott should try and go for a move into turn 2, but he's not close enough to do just that. Here's Mirko Bortolotti. He's had a promising showing for Phil Kincher's team since he arrived in Brands Hatch. There's Calderon. Mick keeping hold of 3rd place. Pascal Wehrlein's over 5 seconds behind him now. He'll be losing the championship lead as it stands is Wehrlein. And there's a problem for one of the Reals, and that'll be Dan Titsum. And that was not a genuine overtaking move, and it looks like Titsum is carrying a problem. It looks like the ones we've got Piquetta, D'Ambrosio and Eilert coming into the pits. And Titsum will be heading for the pits at the end of this lap. Plenty of activity in the pit lane. Especially those at the back of the field, but nothing as such at the front. The next driver that Marcus Ericsson will be lapping. He's got through on the Reals. Now we're looking at Kamir Sartos trying to make his way through back markers as well. Element Nish coming into the pits. Marcello likewise. There's your race leader. Marcus Ericsson who's coming in for his 2nd stop of the race. We're only at the end of lap 28. Now, is this fuel and tyre stop going to take him to the end? Or is he looking for a 3-stop strategy here? Calderon will go into the lead for now, with Mick Schumacher 2nd. Well, not actually, because Mick is coming in for his 2nd stop. So we should see Wehrlein through into 2nd place. Ericsson comes out of the pits. There could be a bit of a team squabble going on between Wehrlein and Ericsson. Then we see Titsum and Lotterer fighting over 23rd place. Titsum up the inside, he gets through. And Nelson Piquet Jr. will be fancying his chances. And Kamir Sato enters the pits in the dome. And Kamir Sato is behind Lundgaard and Lima as he exits the pit lane. As they go through turn 2. There's your race leader, Tatiana Calderon, doing the best she can right now. But her championship hopes are slipping away here. As Piquetta gets lapped by Ericsson. Or was that Wehrlein? I can't quite tell by the camera angle there. It's a von Mittel either way. It's Wehrlein for your information, so it's not Ericsson, as I first thought. Ericsson's a little bit further back. And Calderon getting through on another back marker ahead. We'll see Alguersuari, Paffett and Hartley come into the pits. There's Andre Lotterer. He's just about to be lapped by Mick Schumacher. Mike Conway entering the pits in the Real. And there's an update on the championship standings. I mean, bearing in mind we are in a pit stop phase, but it shows that Wehrlein is 13 points clear of Ericsson and 18 clear of Calderon. But Calderon and Wehrlein have yet to make their second stops. As it stands, von Mittel will be the team's champions. And in terms of where Pacific are right now, they will not seal the team's promotion today. With the gap that they will have, it's a very handsome one. It puts them firm favourites to go up with Fomitel and Mars Cardlela into League One next season. Look at Brendan Hartley, who's behind Jerome D'Ambrosio. Sette Camera exits the pits, and Verline goes for the pits now. Gary Paffett takes over at the head of the pack. Not at the head of the pack, sorry, I was just watching him as he was going through turn 1. He's actually in 17th position. Now there is the driver who's at the head of the pack. Saturn Calderon. He is so busy making their way through back markers, it's extraordinary. Calderon's coming up behind the ramp of Alan McNish. Now McNish has already pitted twice, Calderon has pitted once. McNish needs to stay out of the way of Calderon heading through there, and he does so. Calderon begins the 33rd lap. There's Mick Schumacher. And amazingly, we've only had one retirement so far of Lucas Di Grassi. Retiring on the second lap after a collision. There's a move there from one of the Colonis. That would have been Alguersuari getting through. Now we look at Callum Ilott in the LaRousse. It's not certain where his future will be in the Grand Prix World Series. There we go, back to Pascal Wehrlein, who's running in 4th position, making his way through the Andre Moda of Andre Lotterer. Calderon comes into the pits from the race lead now, as Alguersuari gets overtaken by Jake Dennis. And he does not look to be going that quick, in all honesty. We'll find out more in a moment to see what the issue will actually be. Calderon rejoined in 2nd place, ahead of Mick Schumacher. There's Schumacher behind the 2 Riels of Conway and Tixon. You can see Ericsson dicing his way through the traffic there. It'll cost him a little bit of time. We saw the Ram and the Pacific get through on Alguersuari, so I wonder if Jaime's going to be heading for the pits to get the problem sorted out. Here's Sette Camera. Pushing as hard as he can, and Alguersuari does come into the pits. Might be an electrical problem or something that he had to make an extra stop for. And there is Mick Schumacher finally through on the Riels. He's lost a bit of time being stuck behind them. It doesn't look like Wehrlein's going to be troubling those ahead. So if he knows he's not going to be troubling those ahead, he'll have to make sure he keeps hold of 4th position ahead of Kamir Sato. He's had a very good race so far for Dome. Lingard and Rossi in the pits, which should see D'Ambrosio and Hartley go back up into the points, as well as Marcello. See, Sette Camera, there's a Coloni coming out of the pits there, and Sette Camera had to dodge his way round the Coloni to not only pull off the move there, but also the Ram That was very, very nearly an accident there, but thankfully Setsukan was able to get through into 13th position. And now we look at Brendan Hartley up the inside for a moment on D'Ambrosio as Takuma Sato enters the pits in the dome from 5th place. And there's an engine problem for Nelson Piquet Jr. in the Dams Vion. It's going to be another retirement for the Brazilian. He was at the back anyway. It's the end of the day's work for him. And he'll be focusing on the season finale at Laguna Seca. His teammate Mirko Bortolotti is doing a fine job at the moment in 5th place. He hasn't made a second stop yet. It's not certain whether he will make a second stop, but if he isn't, then fair play to him, because he's got a chance of getting a good haul of points out of this. And Titson coming in. I think that's his 3rd stop of the race, you know, Dan Titson. It's been a race to forget, really, for him. But at least he's still going. There's Lima and Bacchetta fight it out for 17th position. And Bortolotti's finally in for his second stop now. In the Dans Vion. He'll drop out of the points, but it could still leave him within range to snatch a point after all. There's Mick Schumacher in 3rd position behind Tatiana Calderon. As Marcello locks up in to turn 2. Bortolotti is rejoining 12th place and a lap down on the leader. There's Calderon going through on back markers. And Albasori further back is trying to get his Colonia back into the action. He's running in 22nd place now after having to make that extra stop. Calderon in P2 ahead of her German teammate as Brendan Hartley goes for a move on Jerome D'Ambrosio. This is for 6th place. As it stands with the positions as they are, Dome and Force India will be closing in on Pacific, but ever so slightly. Now the record for the most number of finishes in a Grand Prix World Series race is 23, which we've achieved on a couple of occasions this season. Both of which being in League 2 in Istanbul and Brands Hatch. 24 still going out of the 26 that have started. And there is Ericsson trying to make his way through back markers at the moment. He's just lapped Alexander Rossi, and now he's trying to get through on Alan McNish as well. Goes round the outside into the Parabolica, does Ericsson. And just a few 100 metres up the road, got Takuma Sato and Rafael Marcello tossing over 8th position. Calderon doing just that on all the back markers. But oh, there's a contact there between Rossi and McNish. McNish is off the circuit. Rossi keeps going. We're going to get a replay of that. Now, is Rossi anywhere near? Well, he came from so far back. And yeah, he was too far back to make that move work. And I have to say that Rossi's going to be picking up a time penalty for that. And McNish is waiting for the traffic to go through before he can rejoin. And that's hurt his race and Ram's chances of promotion. Now, McNish should get back onto the circuit around about now, you would have thought. He doesn't want to rejoin into the path of another driver. Now, if he ends up retiring as a result of the contact here, then Rossi will pick up a race ban for Lugano. Manish is back on circuit now in 22nd place, and it should be a 30-second time penalty for Alexander Rossi. It's 10 seconds actually. And it's a back of the good job for Lugano for the American. And an update on the championship table as it stands. Ericsson will be 3 points clear of Verline, and Calderon is 22 points off. At least Calderon keeps herself in the running for the title. As it stands in the team's championship, Von Mattel will seal that accolade. Mastercard Lola needing to outscore them by at least 23 points to keep the race going, but it's very unlikely that that's going to be the case now. So going back on Rossi's case, it was a 10-second time penalty, not a 30-second time penalty. So back of the good job as well for the Larousse driver. Wherever he ends up, 10 seconds will be applied to his race time. It will leave the door open for Mirko Bortolotti to snatch a point out of this, which would be some effort from him. We go back to Calderon, who's in P2 behind Marcus Ericsson. The gap is 13 seconds with 13 laps to go. And we see Fabio Lima trying to get through there on Callum Eilert for 15th. And Ericsson's just put a lap on Jerome D'Ambrosio. The next man ahead of him will be Brendan Hartley. At least Mascardelli will be happy with the podium finish. Ericsson coming up behind Hartley to lap. Let's go through that fast sweeping right-hander of turn 1. And Lima, who's running in 16th. Behind Callum Eilert ahead. And behind them will be Marcel Lederson, which is trying to lap. That'll be Mick Schumacher. Does Lima see him though? He does see him in time. Schumacher is through, no problem. Here is Mick in 3rd place. He's 3rd in the last race. Failed to finish in the 2 races before, in Valencia and Buenos Aires. And we look at Takuma Sato's running 8th behind D'Ambrosio, who have been at it since the beginning. Dome, as it stands, will be collecting 14 championship points. Force India will be collecting 8. Pacific will be collecting 8. Saxby won't be collecting any points, and they'll be out of the running for the team's championship in the Gunseika, that's for certain. As for Ram, who at the moment are not going to be getting any points out of this, they're going to be falling further and further behind. In fact, as it stands, they'll be 39 points behind 3rd place Pacific, with only 45 points left on the table. Takuma Sato sandwiched in between the two Force Indias. And Oliver Rowland's just been laps there, and we see a problem for Fabio Lima. Does he get into the pits? No, he doesn't. He's past the pit lane. And his race is about to end on the sidelines. It's not going to be any points coming his way, and no points coming in the way of Carlin in this one. As it stands, it's going to be 8 races without a point for Perry Brown's team. That's the 3rd driver to pull out of this race. It's a gearbox issue for the Swiss. Only the top 5 now are on the lead lap. Mir Sato running in 5th place. It's nearly a whole minute off the race lead. As Dan Titsum gets through on Oliver Rowland for 22nd. Got 9 laps remaining. Calderon continuing to make her way through back markers. And you can see Force Indias in the dome. There's Rossi behind them, but he's got that 10-second time penalty which will be applied to his race time, and the point will be going in the way of the Dams Viant squad. And Mirko Bortolotti. Be 4 races in the last 5 of which they've scored points. Should they remain there, they will actually move in front of Carlin into 11th place in the team's championship on countback, going into the last race at Laguna Seca. Sete Cameron running in 13th. Not going to be coming not coming away with any points this stands, although he's just got through on Christian Lundgaard. And here is the reason why Lundgaard is carrying an issue. And he's going to be retiring. Once again is the Dane. Pulls off the circuit, and he's the next to go. That's 4 drivers out then, so we're not going to get a new record of race finishes in the Grand Prix World Series. Lundgaard's car lifted over the barrier. And we've just seen McNish trying to get through on Lotterer for 19th. Been a race to forget for Ram. I've been on a good run of form coming into this. Now it's Verline, who's half a minute off his teammate Pascal Verline. In terms of who's made the best jumps, well, there's not really anyone in the field that's made big jumps today from where they were on the grid. And whilst we are into the closing stages of the League 2 race, we'll have a rundown on the Season 4 calendar. That is set out to be a really compelling series to look forward to in Season 4. Which will get underway at some point later in the year. We kick off in Jaraguá, Brazil. Followed by Buenos Aires, Argentina. And it's off to North America at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, which should be a belter of an event. And it's to Toronto in Canada. Montjuic in Spain. Dijon-Périgord in France. And it's off to Mugello in Italy, Nürburgring, Germany, which will be the venue for the mid-season test. And it's off to Istanbul Park in Turkey, Pärnu in Estonia, Anderstorp, Sweden, Suhai, China, Ortopolis, Japan, Yeongam, South Korea, Sepang, Malaysia, and the season finale will be at a new destination in Service Paradise, Australia. There's also the Macau. There's It's also the non-championship round of Macau at the end of the campaign, just like it will be for this. And this season's Macau event will feature the top 13 highest scoring teams across the 2 leagues. We know the likes of Vomitel and Moscow Lilla will be featuring in that. And there we see Calderon and Rossi there. Rossi not making it easy for Calderon to put a lap on him. She's through at last. She'll have lost time thanks to that. 5 laps to go. Ericsson leads by 17 seconds over Calderon. Only mechanical gremlins can stop Ericsson now. He's very much in a league of his own. Hitting form at the right time. After sitting out Season 2 without a drive, it was unclear whether he would be given another chance by any of the team managers. But Ewan Gale gave him that chance. He's put himself on the brink of becoming the League 2 Drivers' Champion of the Grand Prix World Series. Will Power took the title last season for Leighton House. There's an update on the championship table as it stands. Ericsson will be 3 points clear over Verline and 22 clear over Calderon going into the last race at Laguna Seca. And a reminder on the team's championship, Mastercard Lola will be finishing second behind Von Mattel, who will be clinching the team's championship today. I'm just seeing Calderon putting a lap on Marcello. See Calderon getting through on the back markers, but she's very much running out of time, so she'll have to hope something does happen to Ericsson, which is very, very unlikely. Hoping that the same strikes to him as what happened to Calderon in Curitiba, where she retired on the last lap with a puncher, and she lost the race win, and that's severely dented her chances of becoming the League 2 Drivers' Champion for this season. Verline up the inside there, one of the Rams. I think that was Gary Puffett he had put a lap on. Gary Puffett we've spoken little about in this one. He's running in 13th. Mick Schumacher 3 laps away from a 3rd place finish for the 2nd race in a row. And there is Sato locking up in front of Marcello. Now we are watching Callum Ilott, who's crossing over the line. In the LaRousse, behind him is Luciano Bacchetta. And Kimiya Sato has now been lapped by race leader Marcus Ericsson, so only the top 4 are on the lead lap. What a season it has been for Von Mattel after kicking off the campaign with a double non-finish in Sepang. It was very unclear as to how reliability was going to impact their quest this season. But it clearly hasn't hampered them too much. And after a really torrid campaign in Season 2 with only 5 points on the board, fielding 5 different drivers who weren't quite cut out for Ewan Gale's team. But since Marcus Ericsson and Pascal Verline got the ball rolling, with the wins, the first one coming in Zenzel, which Ericsson had taken, which very much had ignited his Grand Prix World Series career after a disappointing time of it with Simtech and Midland in Season 1. They are about to achieve their first Grand Prix World Series Championship. And by doing so, in League 2. And there's a problem for Mike Conway, who's going to be pulling out in the closing stages. He had a fairly good race, did Conway, running in 16th, but it looks like he's going to be out before the checkered flag. Marcus Ericsson has started the final lap of the race in the Von Mattel. And we'll want to go to him as Conway pulls off. What a race from Ericsson, untroubled from start to finish. Von Mattel have done more than enough to do what they needed to do today. And Ericsson is going to leapfrog his teammate Pascal Wehrlein into the lead of the League 2 Drivers' Championship going into the season finale at Laguna Seca. That will be very, very intense of a finale between the two drivers, as well as Tatiana Calderon, who will still have an outside chance. But for today, Von Mattel are about to make history. Marcus Ericsson wins the League 2 San Carlos Grand Prix, and doing so, Von Mattel are the League 2 Teams Champions of Season 3. Tatiana Calderon 20 seconds behind, crosses over the line in second place. She keeps herself in the hunt. And Mick Schumacher will make it a double podium for Mastercard Layla. They will finish second in the Teams Championship, whatever happens. And Pascal Wehrlein will still be very much in the hunt for the championship going into Laguna Seca. And Von Mattel are the Teams Champions of League 2 by finishing first and fourth, outscoring Mastercard Layla today, which was always going to be more than enough. Kimi Sato a lap down in fifth, ahead of Brendan Hartley and Jerome D'Ambrosio, who's done well filling in for Jet Aiken in the Force India. Takuma Sato 8th, Rafael Marcello 9th, and Alexander Rossi's time penalty is going to drop him out the points. So Mirko Bortolotti picks up the last point for Dans Voyon. But there's your race winner, Marcus Ericsson in the Von Mattel. They clinch the League 2 Teams Championship. Tatiana Calderon coming home in second place ahead of Mick Schumacher. Pascal Wehrlein making it 2 Von Mattels in the top 4. Kimi Sato in a strong 5th for Dome. Brendan Hartley in 6th. Jerome D'Ambrosio in 7th, and it's Takuma Sato in the second Dome in 8th. Rafael Marcello is 9th in the Force Seniors, so 2 Force Seniors in the top 10. The last point going to Mirko Bortolotti in the Dams Voyant. Sergio Sette Camera 11th. Alexander Rossi 12th after his time penalty, and it's Gary Paffett and Callum Eilert. Luciano Piquet was 15th ahead of Jaime Alguersuari, Jake Dennis, Alan McNish, who is 18th after that collision with Rossi. Andre Lotto in 19th, and it's Dan Tixon in 20th position. In 21st place is Oliver Rowland after a lonely race. Mike Conway pulled out in the final few laps, but is still classified. Christian Lundgaard, Fabio Lima, Nelson Piquet Jr. and Lucas Di Grassi did not finish the race. The points for pole position and fast lap went to Marcus Ericsson. Well, at least one championship has been decided today. That is the Teams Championship. Ewan Gale will be celebrating in the garage long into the night, but the celebrations won't be over yet, or at least it won't be from his perspective, because one of his two drivers are about to clinch the Drivers' Championship in League 2 at Laguna Seca in a couple of weeks' time. Calderon is still very much in there, albeit 22 points behind with 27 points left on the table. She needs a minor miracle for both Von Mattels to have an absolute mare of it in the USA if she's going to come away and complete the fairy tale story over in the States. As for Pacific, with Hartley's results, that puts them on the brink of joining Von Mattel and Mastercard Layla in League 1 next season. Let's run down on the championship standings in League 2 in both the Drivers and the Teams Championships, courtesy of Topher Smith, and we'll be back for the League 1 race very, very shortly.
A huge congratulations to Von Mattel for taking the League 2 Teams Championship in Season 3 of the Grand Prix World Series. Massive well done to Ewan Gale, the team manager of Von Mattel. He will be racing in League 1 next season, and he cannot wait to get underway in Season 4 and fight with the big boys for the League 1 title. But how has that race left the points? Well, the Drivers' Championship is still yet to be decided, and heading into the last race next time out in Laguna Seca, Marcus Ericsson leads the way on 194, 3 points ahead of Pascal Wehrlein on 191, and Tatiana Calderon still holding on 172 points. Mick Schumacher is out of it, as we said already, but he will be doing everything he can to help out Tatiana Calderon and make sure that she takes the title next time out. Brendan Hartley, Jack Aitken, Gary Paffett, Kimi Sato, Alexander Rossi and Lucas Di Grassi all still in the top 10, and they can be happy with the seasons they've had to be in the top 10, but surely they will be loving to fight for the championship next season. As far as the teams are concerned, Von Mattel have won it on 385, Mastercard Lola will also be promoted on 311, and the fight for the final promotion spot, Pacific Grand Prix on 151, Force India on 123, Dome on 115, and Ram Racing on 112. One of those 4 teams will be promoted to League One in Season 4, along with Fomitel and Mastercard Lola. That's going to be one of the main stories heading into the final round at Laguna Seca next time out. But for now, we are going to look ahead to the League One race today, and it is between Scott Dixon and Antonio Felix da Costa, 176 and 149 points respectively. All Scott Dixon has to do today is outscore Antonio Felix da Costa by a single point, and he will be the champion for a second season in a row. Da Costa will be doing everything in his power to make sure he gets as high a result as possible today, while Nick de Vries will be looking to play support to his Portuguese teammate in the Minardi team. As far as the team standings are concerned heading into this one, it is not decided just yet. Minardi, Simtek, Manor and Leighton House all still able to win it mathematically, but realistically you'd have to say it is between Minardi and Simtek. Minardi could potentially clinch it today, but they will have to get the results to make it happen, and we'll keep an eager eye on their progress throughout today's race. A couple of bits of driver news to bring you before today's race, the first of which comes from the Onyx team. Sebastian Bourdais picking up a race ban last time out in Curitiba for taking Sean Galale out of the race, and he will be replaced by the Onyx reserve driver Kazuki Nakajima, who will return to the race seat for the first time in quite a while, and will be looking to make an impression as he looks for a seat for Season 4. The second and last driver change is at the Super Aguri team, where Michael Gillespie has acquired the services of Leighton House reserve driver Helio Castro Neves for today. He decided he wanted a bit of experience in the car for the last 2 rounds while Paul de Resta is serving his race bans, and Castro Neves makes his return to a race seat today, and much the same as Nakajima, he will be looking to impress as well as Season 4 and the driver market for that season looms. Another bit of news to note from the Minardi outfit, Nick de Vries did pick up a race ban last time out in Curitiba, but a successful appeal means that de Vries will be back in the car. Giacomo Pagliaro did not accept the explanation of the stewards for de Vries' disqualification, and after much deliberation it went to a public vote between the team managers to decide whether the race ban would stick or whether it would be overturned, and the team managers voted in favour of Giacomo Pagliaro, and Nick de Vries' race ban was overturned and he will be racing today. So he'll be keen to make an impression and help Minardi to win the team's championship here today. But before we get underway, let's have a look at how the grid lines up for today. And Manor has taken its 3rd pole position in a row, Kamui Kobayashi this time, putting on pole position for the first time this season. Nick de Vries, the one who had his race ban overturned, he will be starting from 2nd today, ahead of the champion-elect Scott Dixon, looking to make it 2 titles in a row. Pato Award 4th in the hours, ahead of Jean-Eric Verne, doing an impressive job in the Prost to line up 5th today. Jose Maria Lopez is 6th in the second Manor, ahead of Antonio Felix da Costa, who will be disappointed with his qualifying to be half a second off the pace, and he will be doing everything he can to make his way through the order and get ahead of Scott Dixon by the checkered flag to take the title fight all the way to Laguna Seca. Will Power will start from 8th in the Leighton House, ahead of Marco Wittmann, and Luke Browning in the second Simtek rounds out the top 10. Nick Yellerly and Alex Lynn in the 2 HRTs share row 6. Daniel Gudea start from 13th in the hours, ahead of Helio Castro-Neves, returning but this time with the Super Aguri team. Kazuki Nakajima also returning will start from 15th as the lead Onyx, a great job by him today. Sean Galale 16th in the BAR, ahead of Sebastian Buemi, Nicholas Latifi, Louis Delatraz and Antonio Fuoco, that is the top 20. And at the back of the grid, Alex Palou and Colton Herter will share 21st and 22nd in the AGSs. Robin Fines 23rd in the Super Aguri. Naoki Yamamoto, Roy Nissany and Felipe Nasr round out the grid. Well, we have 2 titles that could be won in today's race. Scott Dixon aiming for his 2nd World Series title in a row, and Minardi looking for their first. It's going to be an exciting one, and Tom Cairns is itching to get you through the action once again. So Tom, over to you.
Only 2 drivers left in the running in the race for the title. Scott Dixon could clinch the title here if he was to outscore his rival Antonio Felix da Costa by a single point. We'll find out whether he is able to do it in the next 54 laps. The 5 red lights are coming on now, and when they go out, it's race time in San Carlos. Lights out, and away we go. Kamui Kobayashi getting off poorly from pole position, and that's going to allow Nick DeVries to pull alongside and get through. Nick DeVries is in front of the manor, and look who's coming through. It's Pato O'Ward in the arrows, who's made a tremendous start, but he has to tuck back in behind the Minardi, and he's gone up into second place, has the Mexican. There's debris flying around. Don't know who has lost a front wing or rear wing. We'll get to that in a moment. But so far, no major incidents as far as we know. We just saw Luke Browning coming through. This Jean-Nic Verne is just ahead of him in 6th place. There's a car off. Marco Wittmann in the wall. And he's come together with one of the Onyxes. We'll have a look to see how that actually happened. It looks like, did Wittmann move across there? I think that's Antonio Frocco, who he came together with. Or was that Kazuki Nakajima? I couldn't quite tell. It was Nakajima. In fact, Wittmann, who had already lost his rear wing earlier on in the lap, is coming together with Kazuki Nakajima, and both drivers are out of the race on the spot. Actually, yep, it was Alex Lynn that ran into. Was it Alex Lynn or was it Nick Yelly? I think it might be Nick Yelly that ran into Wittmann to begin with and caused that incident. So yeah, so Yelly kick-started it. And Wittmann didn't notice that Nakajima was there, but to be fair, that rear wing loss would have caused him to slow down a little bit so that he didn't go flying off the circuit by himself, and Nakajima was just an innocent bystander in all that. So Wittmann is out of the race on the first lap. And we'll hear what the stewards have to say on that incident there. And Nick Yellerly, instead of a race ban and disqualification, has been given a 30-second time penalty and a back of the grid drop for the season finale at Laguna Seca. He's very lucky as well. And Marco Wittmann, for causing Nakajima to go off the track with him, has been given a back of the grid drop for Laguna Seca. Lap 1 completed then. DeVries leads, so Ward second. It's Kobayashi, DaCosta, Dixon, Verne, Browning, Power, Lynn and Lopez in the top 10. As it stands with the positions as they are, Minardi are about to go up, about to clinch the Team's Championship in League 1, and the Drivers' Championship will go down to the last race at Laguna Seca. And there's been a collision towards the back of the field involving Colton Herter, who has been in the war so much this season, has been hit from behind by one of the 40s. And it was Roy Nissani who ran into Herter at turn 2. And I would expect Nissani to get given the same penalty as what Nick Yellerly got for the collision with Marco Wittmann. And he does get the same penalty as Yellerly. So it's a 30-second time penalty in the back of the grid drop for the last race at the Laguna Seca. And Herter almost repeating what he did in Buenos Aires and nearly taking out another driver. Wells has got no rear wing to his wagon. Chaotic start to the race in League 1 in San Carlos. But so far it's DeVries who's leading. And after the race ban was initially given to him, team manager Giacomo Pagliaro of the Minardi squad appealed that, and the punishment was later rescinded, and therefore DeVries was allowed to take his place on the grid here in San Carlos as Herter comes into the pits. But just to also remind that Kazuki Nakajima is in place of the suspended Sebastian Bourdais after Bourdais took out Sean Galeo last time out in Curitiba. DeVries, Kobayashi, O'Ward in third place, DaCosta fourth. And it's Dixon who's fifth. 27 points was the gap between the two coming into this. The gap will only come down by a couple of points, but it still keeps DaCosta in the running for the title. He'll need to get through on O'Ward very quickly. Didn't qualify very well, did DaCosta, but he's looking to make up for that here now. Kobayashi with the fastest up of the race. You want to go to the battle for third place between O'Ward, DaCosta and Dixon. No way through yet for DaCosta. They cannot afford to spend too much time stuck behind the Mexican. He needs to win this race, does DaCosta, to keep his realistic hopes of the Drivers' Championship going into Laguna Seca. Is going to go up the inside of O'Ward into turn number 4. And DaCosta can't get through there. He has to hold back. And also to remind you, on another driver change, Helio Castroneves is in for the suspended Paul di Resta. It was Ollie Berman who was in the seat last time out, but Helio Castroneves had been given a chance to race for Super Aguri after an agreement had been made between the Super Aguri team manager Michael Gillespie and the boss of Leighton House, Chris Cavaney. We come around to complete lap number 4. Kobayashi with a knee fast lap of the race again. We are seeing DaCosta making a move on O'Ward into turn 1. We want to be going to that because he's just got the move done there. Did Antonio Felix DaCosta. We're looking at a replay now, and he's going to pull into the slipstream of O'Ward into turn 1. DaCosta up the inside. O'Ward leaves him enough space, and DaCosta makes an important manoeuvre to go up into 3rd place. 2 Minardis in the top 3 now. And we see Lopez trying to get through on Alex Lynn ahead. And further back we saw Sean Galeo trying to get through on the 2nd HRT of Nick Yellowly. Now it's mathematically possible that AGS, Midland and 40 could go down today, but as it stands with neither of the BARs in the points, that won't be happening at the moment. 40 are looking destined, Midland are looking destined, AGS may have some form of chance still. But they haven't scored a point since Lawrence Pelot's drive in Brands Hatch when he brought his AGS home in 6th place. Colton Herter only picking up 1 point all season. And now we see Dixon as he looks to make his way through on O'Ward, but can't make the move stick there. We go to the lead battle between De Vries and Kobayashi. Now, DaCosta will be enjoying this because he can start to close in on these two. It's De Vries leading ahead of Kobayashi, but for how long? Because Kobayashi is up the inside of De Vries, and no way through just yet for the Japanese. That's the closest he's come since the start. After losing the lead into turn 1, but Kobayashi is determined to get it back. Now Mana, who haven't won all season, had 2 golden opportunities in Buenos Aires and Curitiba to change that, but reliability issues and mistakes cost them dearly. And Kobayashi up the inside of De Vries into turn 1. He's back into the lead of the League 1 San Carlos Grand Prix. And that was coming for some time. And the 7th lap is where Kobayashi is through into P1 as we watch Sebastian Buemi get through on Sean Galeo into 13th position. Buemi, who has been off the pace again in qualifying, determined to make up for it in the race here. Now, Leighton House are still mathematically in the team's championship fight, but as it stands, Minardi with De Vries in 2nd and DaCosta in 3rd. They need to outscore Simtek by 7 points at least in order to clinch it. And as it stands, they look to be on course to do that. Bearing in mind that Mana and Leighton House are not outscoring them at the moment. And there's Dixon. Looking to make a move on O'Ward into turn 1. Does he do it here? Not quite so, as Alex Lynn comes into the pits at the end of lap number 7. That's an early time in the race to be making a pit stop. Lap 11 was the earliest that we saw a scheduled pit stop being done by anyone in League 2 earlier on today. Alex Lynn feels that he needs to be making an early change for tyres and fuel, unless there's more than just that, of which he's had to come in for. Lopez is in 9th position ahead of Junkendaya, for your information. That's because Alex Lynn came into the pits from that position. And then we watched Naoki Yamamoto, who's running in 21st place. He had a spirited effort in Curitiba last time out, despite the fact he didn't actually score any points. But that was his best race of the season so far. Now, Blue Delitraz in the 40s, running in 16th, ahead of Antonio Froco. Just the one retirement so far. In this one, Marco Wittmann crashing out on the first lap after being hit from behind by Nick Yelloly to begin with, which lost him his rear wing, and then collected Kazuki Nakajima into the fast left hand, of which you've just seen Sebastian Buemi go through. That's only the second non-classified finish of which Prost have had all season. They've had a very good reliability record throughout the campaign. But Wittmann out on the spot. Verne is still going in 6th place. And Prost are looking to close in on the likes of Super Aguri and HRT in the race for a place on the grid in Macau in about a month's time. And there's Dixon still trying to get through on the arrows of O'Ward. That was very nearly contact there. We just saw someone come into the pits as well, which is Sean Galeo. Dixon stuck behind O'Ward now. Kobayashi leads. De Vries second place as we watch. Yamamoto tried to make a move on Robin Frines, who's been off the pace once again in the Super Aguri. It's been a disappointing campaign for the team, who had won the team's championship last season in League One. Michael Gillespie with some work to do for next season in terms of what he's going to do to make the car better than what it has been, as well as a thought on who's going to be driving for him next season. And with the positions as they stand, Dixon will be 22 points clear over Antonio Felix Acosta going into the season finale at Laguna Seca. The championship will not be clinched today if the positions remain as they are. And as far as the team's championship is concerned, Minardi are very much on the brink of sealing their first Grand Prix World Series title. They are currently 55 points clear over Simsek. And they're even further clear of the likes of Manor and Leighton House. Costa is not doing much to close the gap on De Vries at the moment, and that's because Kobayashi has been able to pull away. I don't know for certain how much fuel Kobayashi's got on board in comparison to those just behind him. Now we're right on board with De Vries, who's running in P2. And ideally want to let his teammate go. We see Will Power come into the pits in the Leighton House as Dixon tries to make a move on O'Ward again, but can't get it there, but he's trying to move it into turn 2. Does he make the move? He can't! He couldn't do it there, could Dixon? That was very nearly contact. He was very lucky to keep going there as the Kiwi. And now Felipe Nasser is coming to the pits from Midland. Power is rejoining 22nd place now, behind Alex Lynn. Kobayashi has the point for pole position. It's likely he'll keep the point for the fastest lap now, I would have thought. And Hertz's come into the pits for the second time. It's his first scheduled stop. It's going to be another lonely race for him. It's very, very sad to see because he's a talented driver in car, which has been nowhere near good enough. And Dixon stopped behind O'Ward as the other arrows of Danny Youngdays come into the pits. So Yamamoto trying to make a move on Robin Fines again. Isani comes into the pits. Now Castroneves is under threat from the BAR of Nicholas Latifi. Castroneves racing his first event since he had to substitute for Sebastian Buemi at Leighton House in Brands Hatch. Stopped on the last lap whilst he was running in the points, which further dented Chris Cavani's hopes of winning the team's championship in League One, as well as the drivers with Will Power, who have been nowhere near in the same form as what they were earlier in the campaign. And we can see Dixon still not able to get through on O'Ward. This is really, really hurting his race. And Jonathan Vern's only a couple of seconds behind Dixon. This could help Vern decide to move on him by perhaps making an undercut if he was to pit before him. Kobayashi continuing out in front, 3.5 seconds clear over Nick de Vries in second. Mr. Costa, O'Ward, Dixon, Vern, Browning, Lopez, Yellowly and Buemi in the top 10. As it stands, as Kobayashi comes into the pits for his first of 2 stops, and that allows de Vries to take over ahead of the pack. And there's Dixon, still stuck behind O'Ward as they go into turn 1, has to back out of it. No, he's just too far back to make a move right now. Probably need to wait until they go past the first turn before Dixon even thinks about attempting a move on O'Ward. As we see, Robin Fines is just ahead of Yamamoto. Yamamoto's not quite within range to have a go. And there is O'Ward and Dixon once more. See Nicholas Latifi making a move on Castroneves for 10th place. As we see Alex Lynn, who had to come in for an earlier stop than usual. As DaCosta makes his way into the pits from 2nd position in the Minardi, as does Dixon. As Dixon's fed up in sitting behind. Pato O'Ward as Vern comes in as well. And we can see Latifi getting through now on Castroneves into turn 1. And now we've seen Antonio Froco go for it also on the Super Aguri. We've cut away from that. We're now looking at the battle for 2nd place between Jose Maria Lopez and Luke Browning. Kobayashi's in 9th place on track. Costa rejoined in 11th. Dixon is further back. I think O'Ward came into the pits, you know, as well. So Dixon is still behind O'Ward. And he's also behind Jean-Luc Verne. I think Dixon had to be held back in his stop. And because of that, he's now in 19th position on circuit. This is good news for Antonio Felix da Costa. Nick de Vries leads the race. He's won twice this season in Fuji and Brands Hatch. And there's a move from Kobayashi getting through on Antonio Froco into turn 1. His teammate Jose Maria Lopez is determined to make up for the disappointment in Curitiba. So golden opportunities missed since he arrived in the Manor team to win his first race. You see Friends and Yamamoto come in. Now we see Dixon getting through on Nakajima. Wasting no time. He's the Kiwi. He's already lost so much time in the pits. And now we are seeing Lopez and Browning coming in at the same time. De Vries remaining out there in second place is Nick Yellowly because Sebastian Buemi has also come in. And Kobayashi is in third place on circuit. There's De Vries, your race leader, as Vern looks to get through on what looks like Pato Award into turn 1, but he can't quite do it there. And that's going to open the door for Will Power to make a move of his own. There's Nick Yellowly. He's just ahead of Colton Hertz, who's just put a lap on. And now we are looking at Alex Lynn, who is not going very well. Although, is that Lynn who's just come out of the pits, though? Was he just dodging around someone there going into turn 1? Might have been the latter. He's just also pulled off a move on one of the... Is that a Super Guru? He just pulled off a move there. Looks like Robin Friends as you got through. And he's Danny Yunkandea now, who's in front of Jose Maria Lopez. And Nick Yellowly comes into the pits in the HRT. Nick De Vries hasn't stopped yet in this race, for your information, as Kobayashi posts a new fastest lap. And there is Roy Nissany. Is he carrying... Is part of his front wing missing there? Doesn't look like it is. No, it looks like it's still intact. Antonio Franco in the pits for Onyx. One driver who has also not stopped yet in this race is Alex Palou in the AGS. He's doing a fine job so far, it has to be said. He's running in 4th place ahead of Jean-Luc Verne on circuit, as De Vries pits for the first time at the end of lap 19. And there we see Dixon behind Will Power in the battle for P7. And Verne is through on no award for your information. So Verne is through. And De Vries rejoined ahead of Da Costa in 2nd place now. De Vries was ahead of Da Costa anyway, but Da Costa's been busy trying to get through traffic. But I think as the race thickens and the traffic spreads out more, that'll give Da Costa more of a chance to leapfrog De Vries next time around. And Alex Palou is behind Verne and O'Ward now. It won't be too long, I think, before we see him coming in for his first stop. There's Kobayashi in P1. Hasn't won all season. He hasn't won since he won the season opener in Taupo in League 1 when he was an Arrows driver. He also won 2 races in the first season, the first being in Kyalami and the other being in Estoril. And there's the championship table as it stands. Scott Dixon will be 16 points clear over Antonio Felix da Costa with the positions as they are. Dixon can increase that by getting through on Will Power into turn 1 here. And there's an update just on the team's championship as well. Minardi will be doing more than enough to clinch the team's championship here in San Carlos. For your information about the relegation battle, AGS, Midland and 40 will not be going down today. But it's very likely that their fates will be sealed in Laguna Seca in a couple of weeks' time. Kobayashi lapping Colton Herta. He hasn't had a lot to do since he got hit from behind by Roy Nissany. Now we're looking at Louis Delatraz, who's had a reasonable race so far, keeping his car out of trouble. It's uncertain where he'll be ending up next season, but I think given his reasonable drive, I think they'll put him in the market for some of the team managers. And now we're seeing a dice going on. Dixon managed to get through on Palou, and Browning's done also. Simtek's moving up the order. DeFries in second place now. He was out of the running after his non-finish in Curitiba. He's doing what he needs to do at the moment, although he'll want to let his teammate DaCosta through at some point. Verne is fourth, O'Ward fifth, and it's Power, Dixon, Browning, Palou, and Yellowly. Palou has yet to stop in this race. It's likely he'll do the one stop. If AGS have any chance of closing on BAR in the race for survival, they've got to do something different. And there is Yellowly getting through into turn one. Behind Palou now is Jose Maria Lopez. He'll be going for a move into turn two. He does it up the inside, and that's another position lost for Palou. Next behind him will be Danny Unkandea. And you can see Yamamoto behind Roy Nissany in the battle for 23rd position. And Colton Herta is behind them. Costa running in third place. He'll be keeping himself in the hunt for the driver's cycle going into Laguna Seca, just as he was so last season. It was 3.9 seconds between Kobayashi and DeFries. It won't be too long before they come up towards back markers. Only one lap so far is Colton Herta. As Froko gets through on the BAR of Nicholas Latifi, and that's because Latifi is carrying a problem. He doesn't like he's getting at racing speed at all. We'll probably go back to that in a little bit later. As Yamamoto still trying to get through on Nissany. He's not able to do it into turn one there either. He needs to hold back before they get to turn two. And there is a problem for Latifi, so was right after all. And the Canadian is going to be pulling out of the race again. And it's certain that the relegation battle is going to be decided at Laguna Seca. As Latifi retires with a water lead. Second driver out of this one. And also out of the race is Sebastian Buemi. I wonder if it was a suspension. Is it a suspension problem? Or is it something different? It could be a puncher, you know, given by the way the car is lifting off the ground there. But Buemi has pulled off the circuit with mechanical gremlins. And he's going no further. And that puts Leighton House out of the running for the team's championship as well. And Will Power is also going to be pulling out with an engine problem himself. We were watching him and Dixon. I thought for a moment it was Dixon having the issue, but it's Will Power who's going to complete Leighton House's day in a blaze. But sadly, it's not a blaze of glory. It's a literal blaze. And Chris Cavani is not going to see either of his drivers making it to the checkered flag, and that seals it for them. So only Minardi, Simtek and Manor can win it this season. Here's DaCosta running in 3rd place, and Power's retirement has helped Dixon move up the order a little bit. He's in 6th place now. And Alex Blow has finally come into the pits for his first stop of the race. It's expected to be his only stop. Whilst we watch Antonio Felix DaCosta in 3rd position. If he was to drop out now, then Dixon would only need to score 1 point in this race, and the driver's title will be sealed. And it's likely that the team's championship will go to Laguna Seca. And Kobayashi comes in for his 2nd stop of the race. Freeze is back in the race lead once more. Where will Kobayashi come back out in regards to the traffic? He's going to be right in the thick of it again, isn't he? So Browning is through, and it looks like Lopez is going to get through on Kobayashi as well. So this has not favoured Kobayashi in terms of the traffic. He's going to be stuck behind his teammate for a little bit. So Minardi 1 and 2 now. Both are expected to stop again before this race is over. There is DeFries in the race lead. Now what about DaCosta? Is he going to come into the pits for his 2nd stop of the event? Froco up the inside of Delatraz for 12th position. We really are beginning to see the 2nd round of stops beginning now. DeFries continuing on. No such problems so far for him. Had his race ban stood, it would have been the team's reserve driver, Jean-Eric Verne, in that seat, and Prost would have had to have fielded a different driver alongside Marco Wittmann. As we watch DaCosta in P2. Jean-Eric Verne is 3rd. Ward 4th, Dixon 5th. All this is because Kobayashi come in for his 2nd stop of the event. And O'Ward has got in front of Verne because Verne has come into the pits. You need at least 25 seconds for a pit stop on this circuit. As Kobayashi looks to get through on Lopez, but can't do it there. Yokindaya also coming in the arrows. Lopez is not making it easy for Kobayashi. Now we're watching DeFries in P1. DaCosta is 2nd, O'Ward 3rd. Dixon's up to 4th now. As we watch Nazar and Frines tussle it out for 13th. Verne got out ahead of them. He's stopped behind Louis Delatraz. In fact, it's only a few seconds off him after he came out of the pits. So Verne has come out in some clean air, it has to be said. As we watch O'Ward come into the pits now. For his 2nd stop, Nakajima getting through on Nissani for what will be 18th position. Well, he was for a moment, whilst he's in the pits. And Delatraz will get in front of him. What about Verne? How close is he to the arrows? Is he going to get a run on him into turn 2, maybe? think O'Ward has got the move done. One driver who has got a move done is Nick Yellowly on Robin Frines for 13th. And Antonio Frocco is going to be pulling out of the race in the Onyx. Now, realistically, they are safe from relegation, but they're still mathematically in there, are Ryan Ferris's team. Which is a setback from where they finished last season. And it's an engine problem for the Italian. It's the 5th driver to retire. We're on lap 31. And an update on the championship standings as it stands. Dixon 24 clear over Da Costa. Championship will go to the last race. The positions as they are as we see Vern line up a move on O'Ward. And an update on the team's championship. Minardi will clinch it with a race to spare. Latenhouse already out of the running. And so will be Manor and Simsek as it stands. And the gap between De Vries and Da Costa is 12 seconds. Now, is Da Costa carrying an issue because he's not going anywhere near at the same pace of what De Vries is doing? Or could that be the fact that he's trying to get through back markers? Well, one driver who is coming into the pits now, and that's Scott Dixon. I think considering the pace that O'Ward and Vern will be going, I would expect them to leapfrog Scott Dixon. And one driver who's going very well in this race is Sean Galale. He's running in 5th. But he is expected to make another stop in this, I think. And there is Dixon rejoining behind O'Ward and Vern. So he's 10th now on circuit. Ahead of O'Ward is Louis Delatraz. Another of those going rather well. We expect them to be in the pits before this race is over. Nissani in the other 40 coming in. And also coming in is race leader Nick De Vries. That will allow Da Costa to go into the lead of the League 1 San Carlos Grand Prix. He makes his way through back markers. And where will De Vries get out in comparison to Kobayashi? This is important. Browning comes in from 3rd place, and I think De Vries has got Kobayashi. He's ahead of him. So De Vries is ahead of the Japanese driver of Kamui Kobayashi for the net race lead. As we see O'Ward getting through on Louis Delatraz into turn 1 here. And we should expect Vern to get through rather swiftly as well. Vern through on the inside, no problem. Now, Da Costa in the lead right now, but will he remain in the lead for a good few laps? Or will he be in the pits in a few moments' time? He's coming in now, is Antonio Felix Da Costa. Only a lap and a half left on his fuel gauge. So, De Vries will take over the lead of the race. Kobayashi will be 2nd. And one driver who could be up to 3rd place unless he pits in this lap is Sean Galale, of all drivers. He's in front of Da Costa for now. And Sean Galale is having the race of his season so far. His best result has been a 4th place finish in the season opener in Sepang. He's doing a fine job so far in this one, is Galale. We expect him to be in the pits before this race is over, but this is still a fine effort from by his standards. Now, if he was to finish in 3rd place, I do say if he finishes in 3rd place, that'll move BAR on to 47 points, and the bottom 3 teams will still be in the running for survival. It's very likely that BAR will be surviving along with Onyx, and it will send AGS, Midland and 40 down to League 2 for next season. De Vries's gap over Kobayashi is 2.2 seconds. De Vries on the fresher tyres to what Kobayashi is on. That's helping him a lot. Galeo continuing to stay out there in the BAR. Costa picking up 12 points as it stands. Dixon only picking up 6. The gap will come down by 6 points. And the gap will be 21. Delatraz, who's running in 8th place in the 40. A good 6 seconds clear over Jose Maria Lopez. Not fighting with anyone right now. What a job he has done today. Both Galeo and Delatraz. And there's Vern fighting it out with Scott Dixon for what is 6th place at the moment. He's dropped back from O'Ward as Vern. Go back to De Vries, who's coming up behind the 40 of Roy Nassani as Galeo finally pits in at the end of lap 35. That releases DaCosta, O'Ward, Vern, Dixon. Delatraz remaining out there still. And we look at Luke Browning, who's fighting it with Nick Yellerly. Nakajima up the inside of Galeo into turn 1, but can't make the move stick. Galeo has just come out of the pits in 12th position now. He's got an opportunity to finish in the points here as Galeo. And we've just seen De Vries trying to make his way through back markers still. So Ward locks up a little bit but gets away with it. Hertzy comes in again in the AGS. We're into the last third of the race. As it stands, Minardi will be clinching the team's championship, but the driver's cycle race will go to the season finale at Laguna Seca in 2 weeks' time. And there is Dixon alongside Vern. There's a car coming out of the pits there, and Vern and Dixon are having to dodge the way around it. This could be Dixon's chance to make his way through on the Prost. Up the inside goes Scott Dixon, and he's through to 5th place. It's the Kiwi. He's got through. An important move there by the Kiwi. Took advantage with the AGS getting in the way. And he's able to make the move stick. Vern will be disgruntled with that. And now he's under threat from the 40 of Louis Delatraz of all drivers. Look at DaCosta, who's coming around to complete his 37th lap. He's running in 3rd place. But with Dixon pulling off that overtake, there's a couple of more points going in the way of him. DaCosta's running in 3rd place. Now given 15 championship points, Dixon will be getting 10. And the gap will be 22 with the positions as they are now. Delatraz finally pits in for 40. He's done a terrific job to get himself up as high as he has done. Probably fall out the top 15 by the time he rejoins. In fact, he rejoins in 15th place behind Alex Lynn, who's carrying that time penalty. As Castro Neves pulls off a move on Kazuki Nakajima into turn 2, that's enough to move up into 12th position. De Vries in P1. Kobayashi, 4.4 seconds off the lead. And DaCosta is another 10 seconds back. Can't do anything about the top 2 at the moment. But at least DaCosta can keep his run of podium finishes going. 4 in a row he was on before he came into this one. And he's about to break a record. A new record, that is. He'll go on to 5 in a row. There's Alex Palou. He's behind Louis Delatraz, both chasing for points. It's unlikely they'll do so, but you never know in the closing stages. Now Dixon in 5th place. If he was to win the championship today, he's got to outscore Antonio Felix da Costa. Simply overtake him on circuit. He's 8 seconds behind his rival with 15 laps to go. If he can get through on a award, that would be the first part of that job done. Da Costa cannot afford any more mistakes here now. If he knows he's not going to win the race, at least he knows he's going to finish in front of Dixon. Let's keep the title race going to the last round at Laguna Seca. Now we're watching Luke Browning fight it out with Nick Yellerly for 8th place. Browning will get into the slipstream. Will he decide to go for a move there? Not quite so. Well, now we're watching Alex Lynn behind Kazuki Nakajima. Lynn is through. Kobayashi running in P2. And there's an update on the championship standings as they are with the race going as it is. Dixon will be 22 clear of Da Costa with 27 left on the table in the final race for the team's championship as it is. Minardi 66 points clear over Simtek, which will be enough for them to clinch the team's championship today. Their first in the Grand Prix World Series and the first for team manager Giacomo Pagliaro. But you never know what can happen. In the Grand Prix World Series, we have seen it time and time and time again. Twists and turns everywhere you look. There's De Vries, on course for his 3rd win of the campaign. Verne will be happy with his 6th place in the Pros, although he feel that 4th or 5th was a golden opportunity missed. At least it's more points in the boat for the French squad. Lopez in 7th for Munner. Then it's Nick Yellerly in the HRT in 8th. Just to update you, actually, it's not Alex Lynn that has that time penalty, it's Nick Yellerly, for your information, for the incident he caused with Marco Wittmann on the opening lap. So it'll be Luke Browning, Danny Unkadea and Sean Galeao moving up positions in the points. Yellerly will fall out of the top 15. Unless he can get his skates on. Five seconds clear now is De Vries over Kobayashi. Now De Vries has already retired with mechanical gremlins in the last couple of races. So I hope history doesn't repeat itself in San Carlos. Minardi are very close to wrapping up their 8th win of the season, the same as what Fromentel are on now. There's Da Costa on his own in 3rd place, cannot do anything about De Vries and Kobayashi. Nothing to make do with what he's got. And we see Jock Dixon up the inside of Pato Award. It looks like he's made the move stick. He has done. So Dixon is through ahead of the Arrows driver. And that's enough to move him up into 4th position. A significant move in the title race. He needed to make that move stick, and he did it. Now, he is 1 position away from clinching his 2nd Grand Prix World Series title. Can he catch and pass Antonio Felix da Costa in the remaining laps? He's got less than 8 seconds to make up on him. And now we're watching Sean Galea behind Daniel Candela as they go side by side almost into turn 1. And Galea, who at the moment is on course for a championship point with Yellowlee's time penalty, just wanted to get through on Candela. As we watch Naza and Yamamoto cross over the line. As Da Costa crosses over the line again. And Dixon is beginning to close down the gap. Keep an eye on it. 7.1 seconds. With 10 laps to go. Da Costa will be making his way through back markers in a moment as well. So bear that in mind. Fine's running in 17th position. Snover's his teammate for this round, just outside the points. We expect Paul di Resta to be back for the last race at Laguna Seca, once his ban has been served, for taking out Pato Award and Louis Delatrez in Buenos Aires. See what the gap is between Da Costa and Dixon in the battle for 3rd position, which could also decide the championship today. Dixon's just under 7 seconds behind the Portuguese as Verne gets through on Compton Herta to lap. And we see Galea again with Candela. Won't go for a move there. And bad news for the Prost team, as Jean-Luc Verne, who was running in a brilliant 6th place, is going to be retiring from the event. It's the team's first double retirement, I think, since the Genai Grand Prix of Season 2 with De La Rosa and Alguersuari. But Jean-Luc Verne, with a loose wheel, pulls off the circuit, and it's the end of the day's work for the team. That allows Jose Maria Lopez go up into 6th, Nick Italy to 7th on track. We've got Luke Brown in Daniel Candela, Sean Galea, and then Hilo Castroneves, who's 11th on circuit, is on course for a championship point in his cameo appearance for Super Aguri. Louis Delatrez behind Kazuki Nakajima, who's recovered well after that incident with Marco Wittmann on the opening lap. But Delatrez is having the race of his life at the moment. And there's Kobayashi trying to respond to De Vries. He's running out of laps. The gap between Da Costa and Dixon, as we watch them go over the line. Da Costa goes over the line. How far is Dixon? He's running about 6 seconds back, I think, now. And he's 6 seconds behind with 7 laps left. Now, I think Da Costa can take it easy here. He knows that he'll have a chance of it in the last race, providing he does not make any more mistakes here. As Colton Herta gets lapped by Jose Maria Lopez at turn 2. 6 drivers out of the race. Sean Verne, Antonio Frocco, Will Power, Sebastian Buemi, Nicholas Latifi and Marco Wittmann. We see Kobayashi, he will be up to lap. Well, it looks like a Midland ahead. He's about to lap. Is that a Midland he's trying to lap? I can't really tell from that angle. It looks probably like a Super Aguri ahead. He's getting 3-1. Robin Frines now. Kobayashi on course for a second place finish for 2 races in a row. Minardi on course for a double podium, which will wrap up the team's championship today. And keeping the driver's cycle alive with DaCosta. As it stands now, 24 points behind Dixon. Sean Galale and Daniel Cadell still going at it for 9th position on circuit. There is De Vries, 5 laps away from his 3rd Grand Prix World Series victory. We watch Helio Castroneves, who's just been overtaken by Alex Lynn for 11th position on circuit, which could potentially become a championship point. So Castroneves out of the points now. But at least he's putting a good effort in a car which is not the most competitive. There's Nazar. It's just been lapped by Antonio Felix DaCosta. And Dixon won't be too far back now. He's 5.4 seconds back. I think DaCosta's got this one pretty much in the bag. Title race will be going down to the wire. And they're going to take it in a fortnight's time. Freeze completing another lap. And there is the championship table as it stands. And there's an engine problem for Roy Nassani in the 40. Well, watching Scott Dixon for a moment, that could have been significant, but it's Roy Nassani who's carrying the issue. And he's going to be pulling out of the race before the end. And as far as the team's championship is concerned, Minardi will be crowned champions. And with the relegation battle as it is, no one will be going down today. And with BAR on course for a couple of points, that's going to further cement their chances of survival. And there's a problem for Kamui Kobayashi from 2nd place! And he almost takes out the BAR. Kobayashi pulls off! Horrible news for Sam Hull. More reliability issues cost them a good handful of points. Kamui Kobayashi out with 4 laps to go. That moves DaCosta up to 2nd place and Dixon up to 3rd. That makes no difference to the gap in the championship. But Kobayashi retires. And De Vries can breathe a huge sigh of relief. He can relax easy now until the checkered flag. He's 18 seconds clear of Antonio Felix DaCosta. I mean, DaCosta will have wanted to let... Well, mate, De Vries let him go by for the sake of the championship. He's too far behind. And with Dixon closing in by quite a bit, he won't want to risk it. This allows Sean Galeo potentially moving up into 8th place should Nick Yellowlee's time penalty remain. He's still trying to get through on Youngton Daya into turn 1, but he won't do it there. And De Vries is about to start the penultimate lap as he puts a lap on Alex Palou. What must Sam Hall be thinking, the team manager of the Manor squad? They are now firmly out of the running for the team's championship. seems. Scott Dixon doing all he needs to do. He won't be crowned champion today as it stands, but this result will put him on the brink. He is closing on Da Costa. As we look at Nick de Vries, Louis Delatro's running in a fine 13th position. Hats off to him, but he's still not going to be scoring points. With the time penalty of Yellow, he'll actually move up another position to 12th. As it stands with Nick Yellowlee's time penalty, he'll be dropping to 13th. But Nick de Vries has started the final lap of the race. Antonio Felix da Costa is in second place, on the brink to clinch a Minardi 1 and 2, but he nearly takes out the Midland. In fact, they've touched. The Midland and the Minardi have touched. That could have sealed the championship for Dixon right there and then. In fact, da Costa ran into the rear of the Midland. Now, what will the stewards make on that? Because if da Costa gets penalised, in fact, Yamamoto's out. He is. Now that is very, very significant, because if da Costa gets disqualified from the race, then Dixon is going to be crowned the Grand Prix World Series champion. Yamamoto off the circuit, and he is out of the race. No doubt this is going to go to the stewards' room. This could even go on to the end of the race. In fact, they touched twice, did Yamamoto and da Costa. We await the verdict. Yamamoto out of the race. Da Costa could be in very, very big trouble. What will the verdict be? It's a 10-second time penalty for Antonio Felix da Costa. And with that, that will allow Dixon to go up into second place, which will see him outscore da Costa and become the Grand Prix World Series champion for the second time. We'll go back to race leader Nick de Vries, who's about to complete his final lap and complete what will be a mixed day for Minardi. It looks good for both championships to still be alive, or at least be clinched. But de Vries is going to come round to win the League 1 San Carlos Grand Prix, and we await for Antonio Felix da Costa to cross over the line, because with that time penalty, that's going to see him drop to 4th place behind Pato Award. With the penalty as it is, Scott Dixon is going to come round and become the League 1 Drivers' Champion of the Grand Prix World Series. There he is. Scott Dixon is the Grand Prix World Series Champion for the second season in a row. Pato Award will be 3rd ahead of Antonio Felix da Costa with his time penalty applied. That is, however, subject to appeal. Jose Maria Lopez will be 5th. Nick Yellowlee with his time penalty will drop back. So Luke Browning will be 6th. Danny Unkadea 7th. And Sean Galeo bags 4 important championship points for BAR. And it looks like Castroneves stopped in the pits. But there is your race winner. It is Nick de Vries, who wins the San Carlos Grand Prix in League 1 and seals the team's championship for Minardi. Scott Dixon, by finishing 2nd, is the Grand Prix World Series champion. Pato Award 3rd, with Antonio Felix da Costa is 4th. Jose Maria Lopez 5th. It's Luke Browning, Danny Unkadea, Sean Galeo, Alex Lynn, and Kazuki Nakajima on his return, bagging a championship point for Onyx. Louis Delatro's in a P11 ahead of Nick Yellowlee with his time penalty applied. Hile Castroneves, by stopping in the pits, is 13th. It's Alex Player, Robin Friends, Felipe Nasser, Colton Hertzer, Naoki Yamamoto crashing out is 18th. Kamui Kobayashi classified 19th. Roy Nasoni classified in 20th place. The retirees are Jean-Luc Verne, Antonio Froco, Will Power, Sebastian Buemi, Nicholas Latifi, and Marco Wittmann. The points for the pole position and fast lap went to Kamui Kobayashi. But that's not the headline story. The headline story is that incident between Antonio Felix da Costa and Naoki Yamamoto that has ultimately decided the Drivers' Championship in favour of Scott Dixon. Like I already said, it is subject to appeal. Team manager Giacomo Pagliaro will have the right to appeal that, as he did so with Nick de Vries last time out in Curitiba that got him on the grid. here in San Carlos, and that's helped him also win the race. Can he do it again? Will he again win the appeal and see Antonio Felix da Costa remain in the title fight with Scott Dixon in Laguna Seca in 2 weeks' time? We'll run down on the championship standings with Topher Smith, and before I say that, the relegation fight will also go down to the wire, but BAR are looking very good to remain in League One and condemning AGS, Midland and 40 to relegation. Let's run down on the championship standings thanks to Topher Smith, and I'll see you for the season finale in Laguna Seca.
Well, drama and controversy all the way to the end. Scott Dixon takes the title in controversial circumstances, nothing of his doing, but Antonio Felix da Costa barging Yamamoto out of the way gives him a 10-second time penalty, which drops him behind the Kiwi, and that has given Scott Dixon his second Grand Prix World Series title. Of course, that is subject to appeal, and I'm sure Giacomo Pagliaro will be having words with the stewards about that one. So we'll wait to see what the outcome of any potential appeal might be, and we'll bring you that news next time out in Laguna Seca. But as it stands, Scott Dixon is the champion on 194 points. Da Costa is on 161 and drops behind that 27-point threshold that he needed to stay under to keep the title fight going to the last round. Nick De Vries, his win today puts him on 136 points. Pato Ward 4th on 110 ahead of Kamui Kobayashi on 90. Will Power 6th on 83 ahead of Buemi, Lopez, Lin and Grosjean. Grosjean still in the top 10 despite not having raced for the last few rounds. And in the team standings, it is a huge congratulations to Minardi, who have become the League One Teams champion. They are on 305 points. Simtech on 256. They can no longer catch the Italian team, regardless of what happened with Da Costa's penalty. Minardi are your champions. A huge congratulations to Giacomo Pagliaro for the season he's put together with that team. Mana are on 120 points. They would have felt like they could get a few more points out of today, but they'll be looking to secure third in the championship. They could even potentially overtake Imtech for second at the last race, but that will be a tall order with a gap of 36 points between them. Leighton House are on 198, ahead of Arrows on 165, and HRT on 98. Super Guri, the outgoing team's champions, are on 84 in 7th place. Prost on 82, Onyx on 58, and BAR on 36 rounds out of the top 10. And still at risk of demotion into League 2 for next season, AGS, Midland and 40. We'll keep an eager eye on those three teams and any other potential demotees at the last round in Laguna Seca. That will be the main focus now that the championships are decided. Well, drama and controversy is never too far away in the Grand Prix World Series, and we will wait to see if there are any potential appeals against Da Costa's penalty that could take the Drivers' Championship all the way to the last race. But the team's title is well and truly decided in favour of Minardi. Huge congratulations to them, and we are looking forward to the season finale to get Season 3 completely in the books. Until then, thank you for tuning in. I've been Topher Smith. Take care.